Good to see you all. We're going to have a entertaining panel about adoption. My name is Michael. I'm the founder of MN Fund and MN Capital, and I'm also the host of New Era Finance. I'm going to hand it over to Peter to give a short introduction about yourself and what you guys do.
Hey, my name is Peter. Good to be here. I'm CEO and co-founder of Mercuryo, and we are bridging the gap between fiat and crypto, providing all the big crypto companies like Trust Wallet, MetaMask, Ledger, Telegram Wallet with on-ramps, off-ramps, bank cards, and other solutions and tools to make movement from fiat to crypto really seamless.
Nice, welcome. Christian.
My name is, oh wow, this is loud. My name is Christian. I'm working for Mastercard in our digital asset blockchain go-to-market team.
Okay, on to you.
And I'm Sharon at the Cantina team. We're a security services firm largely working to establish security with blockchain companies, TradFi institutions, and also trust within the crypto adoption scene.
All right. I'm going to start with you, Peter. You've done a research on the usage of wallets, and you have provided data that it's getting more attractive by wealthier users, but too expensive for the little ones, while crypto has always tried to bank the unbanked, and now making it too expensive for the little users to use. Are we on a critical point, would you say, or what are the key pain points that you got out of the research that you've done?
That's true. We've done research with protocol theory about crypto mass adoption and usage of non-custodial wallets. And we have some interesting insights there that the majority of crypto users, for example, people earning more than 100,000 a year, half of them have crypto. And only 1/4 of people who earn around 40,000 per year use crypto. So, and it is there are obvious reasons for that. It is a bit hard to use it, to on-ramp, off-ramp, to move money, and it doesn't fit in everyday's life to really use the wallet. And there is a reason for that, that wealthier people have crypto now because they still treat crypto as an asset. They invest in that. And on the other side, when we're talking about mass adoption, we are thinking about some use cases. And people who will need to use crypto as a use case, they still don't have a solution that really fits in their life, have the same user experience, same ease to use crypto, like in a banking app or other apps they use today.
Okay. I think the UX is the key part to onboard a lot of users. And I think the UX of Mastercard is obviously great. That's why a lot of people are using it. I think back in 2020, 2021, there were a lot of partnerships with cards too and Mastercard. What has shifted since then in terms of adoption from your perspective and the UX of crypto cards and the usage of those, Christian?
So I think we see more and more of these programs. We see that the partners that we work with sort of move away from only buy, sell, hold speculative assets. The partners want to be the next generation of financial services super apps, which are very well known here in this part of the world, whereas in Europe you don't really have that, or in the US. So we see that really it's about the next generation of what we would have called fintech 10, 12 years back. A lot of crypto players go in this direction. And again, the user experience would be a necessary prerequisite because in some parts of the world there's a financial exclusion issue, so people will jump through a lot of hoops to get access to services, but in other parts, a card, a virtual card that sits on your iPhone or Android phone is pretty much the user experience bar that you need to pass if you want to get relevant traction and usage. So that's kind of where we are.
In terms of usage of cards or of blockchains in general, Sharon, from your perspective, you're doing audits yourself, security audits of blockchains. How can we make sure that it's all safe?
It's a great question. So I think that the biggest trend that we're seeing in Web3 blockchain technology today from a security perspective, it's obviously we funneled millions of dollars into smart contract audits and making sure that that piece is secure and mature in their security. But Web3 is just now starting to adopt and realize a lot of the security infrastructure that has existed in Web2 for decades, looking at all other aspects besides just smart contract security. So I think that's the first step to just ensure from an infrastructure perspective that users have a secure, platform to interact with. And then in terms of what actually comes next for users, it's about education and helping them understand that the certain types of threats and things that can happen in blockchain are similar but different than what happens in Web2, that the consequences of security breaches and things are a little bit different. And so, I think to get mass adoption, making it easy to interact with, but also making it as equally hard to do wrong. That's what we're seeing right now. I mean, we still get messages from really, high-level technical people saying, I got front run on something or somebody took something, can you help me get it back? And it's like, if these are the best security minds of the world and they're still having some of these struggles, it's about how do we create something that is easily as accessible for everybody to keep secure. I think that's one of the problems we're still working on.
What type of education do we need? Because I've been in the space since 2017 and I've been trying to explain blockchains to people, which doesn't really make sense. People don't care. My parents, including myself, if I go to an internet website, HTTPS, I don't know how it works, I just want it to work. And that's kind of the same that I believe that at some point we will be using blockchain without knowing that it's blockchain. So what kind of education do we need, Sharon?
I mean, that's a great question. I think that's the first step to mass adoption, is not knowing that it's happening. But with that, right, it's about educating the same things that we're doing today about like how AI has made it so much easier to fall for phishing and for different security attacks because it looks and feels like something that's very real. So I think it's about just educating folks on not this is how a blockchain works and this is the technical intricacies, but just educating them on if you see things that look like this, if somebody asks you for these things, that's always bad. That's when my mom calls me and she was like, "Oh, Sharon, the bank called and they said I need to give them all my personal information. What should I do?" And I'm like, "Well, just don't do that." I think it's very similar for how we're going to be able to educate the larger population is just, okay, if it looks like this, if it sounds like this, if people are asking you things that you don't feel like they need to know, then just keep it there. And if we can make keeping interactions with Web3 that simple from a security perspective, then I think that we will have mass adoption ultimately and people will feel comfortable using it. But today it's like, I don't even recommend that my parents do it because like my dad resets his password on his desktop like 8 times a day. I'm like, you're immediately going to get locked out of your crypto accounts and there's nothing we'll be able to do about it. So I think that's what we're working towards.
When we're talking about wallets, then you see a shift of the UX. I mean, every time when I go on MetaMask and I need to breach or swap or do something on a DEX, every move that I need to do is going to put away some people because it's too difficult to use all those wallets. And then the question is then for you, Peter, is how can we make sure that we make it as seamless as possible that, for instance, a Mastercard or a Web2 provider is actually giving it? How can we make Web3 wallets that easy?
It's a great question, and we see this from our survey that around 13% of people say that it's hard to use crypto wallets. Just 12% of people say that it actually fits in my daily routine. As I'm used to work with my other banking apps, other things. And that is true that thinking about user experience and making it just the same as you do with your banking app or other Web2 apps. So this is the key. But also about messaging. So for instance, the onboarding today, if you onboard with non-custodial wallet, you have a lot of things where you tick the box and say, okay, if I lose my seed phrase, I will lose all the money. If I'm sending to the wrong wallet, I will lose all the money. So sometimes I have friends who are like installing their first wallet and say, is it true? Should I tick the box or can I decline it? And this is actually what players can do in the market, wallets. They can have like default easy to onboard use case where you just make some basic ticking the boxes, and then if you want to go to enhanced settings, so you can then set up the seed phrase and other things. But just don't do it from the get-go, because people are really getting drowned in all those questions and the uncertainty. And with the things like that we can bring, for example, what we are doing in Mercuryo, we are allowing people to buy first crypto with just one touch using Apple Pay, like the same ease as they do on Nike website ordering new sneakers. So this is the thing that we bring to the market, and I think when the ecosystem, wallets, providers, other players will think, let's do it really easy to use, that will be the next step.
I think so too. And on that note, I would like to ask Christian about self-custody. The Web3 fallacy is that we have self-custody because screw the banks. I wanted to just ask for your opinion about self-custody from a Mastercard perspective.
So the Mastercard perspective would always be we're not normative in terms of what people should do. Our job is to enable choice, and as long as it's safe, simple, and secure, we are happy to see that happening. I believe that this true spirit of self-custody, not my keys, not my coins, works for a certain percentage of people, and I would say that is a lower single-digit number of people. Because by and large, and I'm not debating that classical financial services have flaws, we have been in the majority of the world, we have been socialized with deposit insurance, zero liability, chargeback rights, all of these things. It's almost like a belt and suspenders, right? And I can always call someone if something goes wrong. While the idea of being my own bank sounds very liberating, I think a lot of people need to basically be aware, like Petter said, if you do something stupid, there's nobody to call and your lifetime savings could be gone. Having said that, I believe that the option of having self-custody and maybe having some sort of, toning it down a bit, is very powerful, because also in the traditional financial services ecosystem, we've seen concepts such as open banking. Just because I bank with bank ABC, why can I not use, services of bank XYZ for this? And we believe that self-custody can be very, very powerful. And you mentioned MetaMask. We have a MetaMask card there, which we are really proud of the partnership. We really like that. We believe it's a great way to empower people to use their assets that they want to hold themselves. But again, I think if we're talking about mass adoption, and friction, bridging assets. Oh yeah, you need to put that on Linea for that. Yeah, happy. Oh, why? Nobody understands, right? And something that we've learned in Mastercard over the last 50, 60 years, people don't care about payment, right? They want to order something, they want to split a bill, they want to subscribe to Netflix or get a Grab ride here. You just put your card there once, and then it should work seamlessly. And only if things don't work as expected, you all of a sudden think about security and all of these things. So I just think that we are early in the journey, and again, consumers will vote with their feet or with their hands what kind of solutions they will adopt.
Yeah, I agree on that, and I think it's basically the normal curve. We had the first phase of 5% that all want self-custody, and now the big group comes in. And actually society...
Oh yeah, that is one, if you allow. One
sure,
comment, because because my job is essentially looking after crypto go-to-market, but obviously it's only a fraction of the business we do, and a lot of people say, okay, we want to do away with all the banks. And I think it's very common to see almost this overshooting in sentiment when new technology comes around, right? When there was open source, people say, oh, let's kill Microsoft, right? Because that's kind of that. And then, yeah, somebody buys GitHub, which quite likely would agree, it's like the biggest proponent of open source. So I think embedding something that is really disruptive and innovative and doing things better in an environment that can help it scale, that has processes, go-to-market power, the go-to-market power of banks, the trust they enjoy, the processes. So I think we want to make it, and that's where we see us bringing value. We want to make this rather than an either-or discussion or somebody killing someone or taking the place of someone, rather saying, okay, how can we strike partnerships and bring things from the new world that are absolutely better and take things from the old world that work really, really well.
Well, there's another hype, which is stablecoins.
Yeah.
We'll discuss that in a bit. But first, we just had a brief chat over there. You mentioned that, or one of the team members mentioned that if you have assets on a ledger, in terms of self-custody, then you can still use the card and pay with the card from the assets on your ledger. Could you explain that a little bit more on how that works?
We have a partnership with Mastercard and Ledger for issuing the cards inside the Ledger app, where you can order the card, issue the card, and this card will be linked to your crypto balance inside Ledger. You can easily top up the card and then use it, as Christian said, buying Netflix subscription, linking it to the Grab, and using it in everyday life, topping up with your crypto balance. We think that it is actually the use case. We talk about a lot of real-world assets now. It's a new hot topic, but I would say, what if we talk about real-world use cases? Let's talk about RVU. So, and for real-world use cases, using your crypto for doing everyday stuff, buying something, spending, it is really important. And again, the user experience should be really seamless and the same ease as you do with other banks. So, and then moving to stablecoins, stablecoins is definitely part of this real-world use case, and we see that a big part of usage of the crypto with the bank cards is usage of stablecoins.
If we talk about stablecoins, Sharon, we had Luna back in 2022, which failed. And then right now we have the existence of hundreds of stablecoins, all providing a certain yield or whatever they do. From my understanding as an investor and a trader, most of them are going to fail. But from your perspective, how does it work to do an audit on those protocols and projects, and what are some of the key metrics that you guys look at?
Yeah, so we've actually, to your point, stablecoin is one of the biggest things in the market right now. I think it's one of the ways that people see a pathway to adoption, because it is something that exists in Web 2 that people understand. They understand the usage of it, they understand the utility of it, and so they're much more likely to get into crypto from that perspective. So we've recently had quite an influx in security audits and security services for stablecoin companies, for companies who are looking to innovate on that and introduce that in some way to the market. And I think the biggest thing there that we look at is obviously, right, there's security controls across, all different types of it's important that every single type of company have a really thorough audit. But from a stablecoin perspective, again, because this is something that a lot of people are likely to interact with, likely to invest in, you have to be able to prove publicly that you do have not only your security infrastructure, but also financial infrastructure. What could happen from a financial perspective in a stablecoin? Do you have, proof of reserves and audits on that as well? So it's a much more holistic security process than if you're just getting, a different type of company audited. So what we look at is holistically across the entire company, what is the risk associated with what you're doing from every aspect, not just the smart contract, is there a bug in this code? So it's a much larger undertaking, it's a much more thorough undertaking. Stablecoins are also synonymous, or they try to be synonymous with public trust and stability. It's in the name. And so they put a lot of effort into not only having security across every component of the company, but also being able to publicly indicate that that's happened. And so compliance and regulatory auditing is also really important, and being able to show that. Which is why at Cantina we introduced a Web3 SOC standard to help specifically a lot of stablecoin companies show publicly, not only are we technically secure, but from a compliance perspective, from a risk perspective, we've looked at all these other components as well, and we're a safe place to put, trust.
That's good, and I think we need all those safety measures because ultimately I think that we need stablecoins, but we are also creating some sort of new bubble, which always happens with hype. Christian, from your perspective, are stablecoins going to be the next way of financial payments, or is it a bubble?
Taking one step back, I think up until now in payments, we had a lot of what we would call form factor innovation, right? You would go to an ATM, get cash, then you have MagStripe cards, you have chip cards, nowadays you have your smartwatches and whatnot. But it was always sort of new technology fronting analog money, then moves in batch processes, right? And now I think we, for the first time, have initiatives that aim at digitizing the very essence of money. That can be retail CBDCs or wholesale CBDCs. It can be tokenized bank deposits, and it can also be stable coins, which is sort of private money, if you will. So I believe that as our world digitizes and gets more real time, I think this will continue to happen. And I believe that stablecoins are definitely an interesting vehicle to do a lot of things that we feel strongly about when it comes to offering safe, simple, secure payments. Because a lot of crypto assets, if you think about Ethereum and Bitcoin, people consider them investment assets. You don't want to necessarily spend them for your coffee. I mean, you can, and we facilitate that if that's your choice. But if you want to build a very slick consumer experience for payments, and people want to be sure what they spend, I think stablecoins are a very interesting tool for that. And as they can move in real time globally, I think they bring a lot of value there.
I've got noticed that we still have 2 minutes to go, so I'm going to ask you a final question. If we look 5 years ahead from now, and it's likely that the adoption is going to grow from 10 to 50%, what is required to get there? And I'll start off with you, and you've got 30 seconds.
I think we already mentioned the user experience, and then the making it really smooth moving money from fiat to crypto. Because ultimately, in 5 or 10 years, we'll have the crypto app where you have fiat balance, fiat capabilities, the same as you have in bank, and the crypto capabilities, and you just decide what is easier for you to use.
All right, Christian.
So user experience is taken. I agree to that one. I think what we see is regulation is helpful. Regulation that puts sort of sustainable innovation and consumer and merchant protection at the heart. That really helps. Like the Genius Act takes a lot of uncertainty away. MiCA in Europe, right? People know what they can adhere to. People know my money is safe. So I think that is also very helpful.
All
and
right.
I know it can be a polarizing term, regulation, but I think it's helpful.
All right, Sharon.
And I think to a more granular level, it's just solving the problem of maintaining decentralization while also implementing very strict security safeguards so that the average user doesn't accidentally give away all of their money. If we can solve that problem in an effective and feasible way, then I think that we'll have 100% adoption in 10 years.
Ooh, that's a
Okay,
good.
don't quote me.
It's on record though. But that's a good final note. Thank you very much, guys, for this insightful panel, and good luck with Token 2049.
Thanks.
Thank you.